Broadcasting from the Business RadioX studio in Alpharetta, it's time for ProfitSense with Bill McDermott.
Welcome to ProfitSense, the podcast for ambitious business leaders who refuse to settle for good enough. We're here to uncover the stories behind Atlanta's most successful businesses and the advisors who help them thrive. ProfitSense is where business owners come to learn what's working, what's next, and how to break through the barriers holding them back. I'm your host, Bill McDermott, and this show is presented by the Profitability Coach. For over 15 years, I've helped business owners transform their companies by delivering profitability they never thought possible. When business owners feel stuck or overwhelmed, I help them create a plan to drive the success they've always envisioned. Today, we've got two incredible guests who will inspire, challenge, and equip you with insights to take your business to the next level. So let's dive in. We've got Yuquan Holloway with Holloway Consulting Group. Yuquan, welcome. So excited to have you on ProfitSense today.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
So I want to start off, entrepreneur. You were in corporate America for a while with a very well-known company, but you made the shift from corporate America to become an entrepreneur. What was that like?
Wow. My shift was very idealistic. I decided that I would go and do what I loved the most during my almost 20-year career with an awesome corporation. And I said, I'm just going to go do what I love to do. And I just started serving clients. And I had a lot of referrals based on my history. And then I realized, this also entails running a business. If this isn't just me serving a client, I'm also marketing, caring about my books, all those things. So it was a great shift from I'm doing what I love perspective, but it was a moment from there's layers to this. And so I like to call myself an accidental entrepreneur because of it. I don't know if I knew everything that I know now that I would still take the same path, but I'm very glad that I did. Very happy to be doing what I love every day.
And I love that term, accidental entrepreneur, Yuquan. That is awesome. I do want to, understand being an entrepreneur, there's no safety net under you like there is in big corporate America. And so what resonated is you saying doing really what you love to do. So that would be where I'd like to take you next is tell our audience what you do, who you do it for, and maybe even why you do it.
Sure thing. So we focus on helping corporations, they're typically large corporations, Fortune 500, solve complex challenges and drive success on projects and initiatives through either training their associates on how to be better project managers or problem solvers, providing them with senior level project management resources, and hands-on workshops. So our clients are the large corporations of the world, and we do that because I loved demystifying that whole project management process and helping people get things done at organizations that can sometimes feel hard to get things done at, because the larger the ship, sometimes the harder it is to shift it. And I felt like I had a good playbook and routine and the way I would engage with my clients when I was inside the corporation. I thought, I can teach people that, and we can have fun doing it. So that's what I do, why I do it, and who we do it for. We actually do work with a couple of large nonprofits, and as well starting to do a little bit in government in New Mexico, weirdly enough. So that's been really fun.
And I think too, now 7.5, maybe even 8 years later now into your entrepreneurial journey, for our listeners, I'm wondering if you might share, what do you feel like now that you wished you would have known back then?
What I've learned, especially I've learned this in the past 2 years, my business took a big leap during 2020 because I started working virtually with people all over the world. And so it really got my name out there more as a company. And so we really rode high on 2020, 21, 22, which I think the market wasn't truly what the market really is. And I think this year has been more of a recalibration back to regular business as usual. And so I didn't put as much time into building a pipeline as I should have. And I didn't, I was just, people just reach out, LinkedIn, text me, and like, yeah, we're ready. And I was so deep inside of my business, I wasn't working on the business. So what I've learned is it requires steady, constant feeding of having that pipeline ready to go. I can't remember if that's exactly the question you asked me. I realized that's the story I wanted to tell.
I
So
think that was
redirect me if you
exactly
need to.
the right question and the
Okay.
right answer, Quan. Well done.
Yeah.
We're talking this morning with Yuquan Holloway with Holloway Consulting Group. With over 25 years of experience in leading large cross-functional initiatives, Yuquan has a track record of driving successful change. Through her work, she strives to demystify project management, as she said, create a culture of standard work and repeatable processes, stabilize and simplify core applications, and reduce critical incidents. Quan, I want to take you now. 2024's in the books. We as entrepreneurs are looking towards 25. So how are you using this year's challenges as a foundation to build resilience and adaptability in 2025?
Awesome. Thank you for that question. I'm back to trying to read a book a week. And the book I'm listening to right now, because I'm not reading it, I'm listening to it, is Fanatical. I keep wanting to say fantastical, but Fanatical Prospecting by Jeb Blount. And for 2025, I almost want to change the title on my business card from principal consultant to senior vice president of sales. I am really working to make sure we have great processes in that area. Additionally, near and dear to your heart and your good friend, probably John Ray's heart, is pricing. I really am working to make sure that my pricing model makes great sense, and even thinking about just being very clear about it and upfront versus, I think in the past, it's been more of, we got to figure it out, we'll share it with you. And that, and then the other big thing to build resiliency as we move into 2025 is making sure we have standard financial processes around collecting and accounts receivables, around budgets and how we spend. I've been fairly whimsical in that space because I'm doing what I love, and doing what I love also needs to be about being an awesome financial steward for this business and for the people that work in the business. And so I'm excited about that. I can't say I would have said I'm excited about these things probably a couple of months ago, but I'm excited about what I've learned in 2024. And I'm excited about proving these things out that I'm hearing around pipeline and pricing and all of those things. I do want somebody to tell me, oh, that's too much. It rarely happens. So I'm like, I'm not pushing the boundaries yet. So I'm excited about addressing the challenges of this year with some really good processes in 2025, and really stepping into the role of business owner more so than business worker.
You strike me as a person who has a growth mindset.
Thank you.
We're all interested in being the best versions of ourselves. It takes me back to that old leadership concept that leaders are made, they're not born. We didn't have everything that we needed to be successful entrepreneurs in corporate America. And when you stop learning, you stop growing. And thank you for sharing that. And I sense the excitement when you were talking about it in your voice. I do want to take you back, though, because you have perked my curiosity. You use the term working in the business versus working on the business. Could you elaborate on that and the importance of working on it in addition to working in it?
Yes, sir. So for the first couple of years, I truly was working in my business. I was more of a solopreneur. I was doing what I love, doing projects for people, training people on how to do projects, running Lean Six Sigma certification programs. I might have had a virtual assistant help me along here and there, but I was truly working on whatever came that day. And I had a couple of partners, marketing, bookkeeping, operations, fractional team members that pretty much ran those pieces of my business for me. And I just happily got up every day and attended a million meetings because I'm helping corporate America, and that's our love language there is meetings. And every now and again, I'd look up around to see, oh, how's my business doing? And truly, I find out at my monthly meetings with my bookkeeper, oh, this was good, or oh, no, it was bad, or oh, that didn't work out. And so I was not really driving my business. I was just working in it and then hoping everything would go well. And I worked for a military general for about 7 years, a retired military general. And he would say, hope is not a strategy, Holloway. I'd love to shout that out periodically. And so I channeled my inner John Walsh. I'm like, hey, this is not a strategy. And so working on my business is taking a look at all the parts that make the business come together: the account management, the customer service, sales, marketing, finance. How are these things shaping up? Are we meeting the needs of the people that we're called to? Are we giving them what they need? Are the people that work in this business growing, developing, really being the executive in my organization? And there are places I still work, specifically in project management training and sales and account management. But I have to be mindful that in order to steer this ship and to drive what I'm looking to drive as an entrepreneur and the experience I want my customers to have, I have to work on my business. And I find myself doing that a little bit more every year and really growing into it and liking it. Whereas instead of shying away from it, which I think is what I was doing initially, well, I'd say I was definitely an accidental entrepreneur.
Yeah. Come on in, Quan. The water is fine. We're talking to Yuquan Holloway.
86 degrees.
Yeah, really. Holloway Consulting Group specializes in delivering customer-centric solutions to empower organizations and their associates for success in large-scale projects and business transformations. Yuquan, I want to end with, as you, again, looking forward to 2025, in the areas of project management, what are going to be some of the challenges this year that maybe you weren't facing last year?
Challenges for my organization, or the challenges I see on a macro level across the industry?
On the macro level across the
Yes.
industry, probably the problems that your clients are experiencing, and maybe even how Holloway Consulting is the medicine for that pain.
Yeah, the problem that I'm seeing and that I've been reading about as well from some of the larger magazines and news providers of our day. I don't even know what to call our news providers anymore because everything's streaming. Is on-the-job training for our Generation Z associates, because they're here and they're in the workplace, whether people are welcoming about it or not. But I feel like corporations have strayed a bit from making sure that their associates have what they need to perform well. And it has to do a lot with streamlining. And when I went to work, there was this whole training department, and their whole job was making sure I was trained in everything I needed to be trained in. Those organizations exist, but they're not as staffed as they used to be. And I am finding it more and more. My calls this year were more around, can you help me teach my people how to start and end a project successfully? They don't have what they need for that. Even people with the title of senior project manager maybe have never had a project management course where they have an instructor that they can engage with and that talks their corporation's language. And so we spent more time there this year than we've ever spent. And I'm excited about spending more time there next year. I think it's imperative that organizations have talent that are engaged, has talent that's engaged and excited about their work. And I think an easy way to build excitement and to build team amongst your group is to allow them to learn together and to get the same terminology together and to be excited about their work and talking about how they can get better at it. And so that's where we expect to spend a lot of our time in 2025. I think organizations are quickly figuring out that they got to make sure that their young people are trained, and some of their people, some of their Xers like me need it too. So this is where we'll be focusing in 2025, and we would love for people to call us about it. Our approach is very customer centric. We make sure we understand the culture in which you are working in, because culture does eat strategy for breakfast. And if you haven't paid attention to your culture and just try to slap on some old training solutions or something of that sort, it's not going to work. And Gen Z has different expectations. And what I've learned from Gen Z is what's good for them is good for us all. We all want to have fun and enjoy what we're doing. Some of us just never demanded it. They demand it.
Yeah, for sure. I'm a big fan of yours. I'm a big fan of the work that you're doing and how you're doing it. For our listening audience out there, Juan, what is the best way for someone to get in touch with you if they have a project and they think your name should be on it?
Awesome. They can reach out to us at info@hollowaycg.com, info@HOLOWAYCG.com. They can hit us up on our socials, which are mostly LinkedIn, but we also have a presence on Facebook, Holloway CG, as well as Instagram. And they just reach out to us there, and we will. I was going to say Yuquan Holloway at LinkedIn is my handle. There's not a lot of us Yuquan Holloway, so you can find me there easily. But we'd love to talk to you, even if just hear about what you're doing, hear about the challenges that you might find in getting projects delivered timely with quality and on budget, so that we can just share and learn more about each other. So thank you for that opportunity to share my information.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, thank you again for coming on the show. I think our listening audience can really benefit from your experience as well as your expertise. And one entrepreneur to another, let's keep doing it, okay?
All right. Thank you. Thank you. I will rise to the challenge.
Yeah. And now, Lee Heisman. Lee, I'm so excited about having you on ProfitSense. Welcome.
Good morning, Bill. How are you doing?
Good. So for our listeners, Lee and I go way back. He had me on his podcast at one point in time back in the day. And we also had the privilege of working together on the board of advisors for the Entrepreneurship Center at Kennesaw State, which is, I think, when we got to know each other, Lee. But more importantly, let's talk about exit stage left advisors. So before we get there, though, I'd like for you to just share a little bit about your journey from entrepreneurship to your current role in the M&A space.
Bill, I want to first say I really enjoyed Quan, your previous guest. We were laughing about her name, and she told me I was allowed to use the word Quan to shorten her name, which, as we know from the previous movie, Bill, love, respect, community. That's what Quan stands for. And that young lady, I will tell you, rock star of her evolution, she definitely embodies those three words. So I love that woman and that previous guest. That was very enlightening. Thank you for letting me be a part of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And so did you always think that you wanted to be an entrepreneur, Lee, or did you have a time when entrepreneurship was a totally brand new idea?
Sure. No, Bill, thank you. First, thanks again for having me on the show. It's very uncomfortable. You're putting me in a box here. We have the roadmap that was on TV is when we've done our podcast for a decade, had over 2 million downloads on our entrepreneurial podcast. The reason, Bill, I've done this for so long and been fortunate to meet so many people is because I never talked about myself. I always asked them. I always interviewed them. And today on the roadmap that Ted and I do, we interview others. So you've thrown me in a box. You threw me in a corner here. I'm going to have to talk about myself, as uncomfortable as it is. But Bill, my previous career, I'm old now at 53, but my previous career, I was a licensed physical therapist from Philly. So I could talk more like this. I'm talking about go Birds, I bleed green for the Eagles, and all my sillies, my Philadelphia sillies, as my Braves fans would call me whenever I go to the games. But
I love it.
I will tell you the healthcare was a great space because I loved giving back and helping people. But healthcare back in the day, I didn't like the fact that the people were the product. Right? People are the product. And I didn't like the way insurance companies worked. I couldn't focus on my patients at that time. I had to see 6, 7 patients an hour just for the facility that I worked for to stay open, to keep the doors open, to make their portion of whatever health insurance would pay. So it took about 2 years for me to realize I loved helping people, but I hated the healthcare industry in general. And I was fortunate back up in Jersey, South Jersey, Philly. It's the same. South Jersey is the same as Philadelphia. I had a few friends and we had that entrepreneurial spirit back in the day. This is over 30 years ago where you
Wow.
didn't have the internet and you had to. When I drove down here, Bill, I used a map. I used a Rand McNally book, right? You didn't use the GPS. Had to pull out the Rand McNally and turn the pages. But all that being said, I was fortunate to jump into an industry where I had a good friend of mine. We opened a business. He had the expertise in the industry. It was the commercial printing industry. And I had the entrepreneurial spirit. And we came down to Atlanta and grew a business from 2 guys to 120 employees in Marietta, Georgia, a large printing facility, blue collar, white collar, gray collar. I say that we had blue collar staff. We had, I call them gray collar, meaning the management of the blue collar staff. So they would do blue collar work and also do kind of office work. And then we had white collar staff, the front office space that you would call it. And I had so many friends that owned so many businesses that I would watch your individual islands. You get a law firm, you get an accounting firm, and it's maybe 2 people that work together in the law firm, or 1 or 2 accountants work together. And someone says, I have a business of 100 people. And yeah, but you have individual islands where I had to juxtapose blue collar, white collar, gray collar. I had to juxtapose all these people working together to be able to get one print job out. And we would print for Home Depot, UPS. I think our revenues at one point spiked over $20 million. We were very fortunate. And that was a journey in nearly a decade. And I was fortunate to exit out of that, Bill. And it was one of those things. I knew I had technical issues when I was there, meaning computer issues. Computers were getting new at that time. So I grabbed another partner that was the technical expert, that pattern. And we opened up an MSP, managed service provider, a technology firm, and was fortunate to grow that until we again sold that to private equity 5 years ago, a little over close to 5 years ago. And, that etiology, Bill, of, how we started what we've done. My business partner, Ted Jenkin, very successful across the country on all the media platforms. And I followed his lead. We've been fortunate to be partners in different businesses. And what was happening, Bill, there was a theme that because we had sold businesses, he sold a few of his own, I sold a few of my own. And the old adage, you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
And we would sell our businesses and we think we're all that. We're really smart entrepreneurs. Look at us. We grew a business. We sold it. Wow, we're so smart. And we realized we didn't really know what we were doing. We did it, but we didn't really maximize our multiple. We didn't minimize our stress. We didn't really get the best deal for ourselves. We got a good deal, but you didn't know what you didn't know. So about 4.5 years ago, Bill, we started getting calls from friends across the country and said, hey, Lee, hey, Ted, I know you sold a business. Give me a call back. How do you do it? And that is the opposite of how it works. It is a 6-month to a 12-month process. And we were getting so many calls from associates across the country. We said, man, we got to open up this business. And my partner is a marketing genius. That's his expertise. And he came up with exit stage left advisors. I don't even, whether I liked it or not, I just know it works. So that's what you have to know your swim lane. And I'm like, okay, whatever you say. And we tend to hear, across the country, we love that name. It resonates. It rings out there. And, we have spent the past 4.5 years, we've conducted over 35 transactions for clients, meaning we represent the sellers, Bill, people that like us that are saying, I want to sell my business, but we're now armed with a full arsenal of what we know. And the majority of our time is spent with private equity and family offices across the country because we're vetting who has committed capital, who can actually conduct a deal. Because the worst thing that can happen for people that want to sell a business is they're approached by a buyer. The buyer knows a lot of these fancy terms and they talk about private equity and it's a sexy comment. But the reality is they might not have any committed capital. They might not have any money and they're going to drag these sellers down this road of a deal. And they're unfortunately, maybe it's intentional, maybe it's not. I always tend to look at the cup half full, but maybe their intention is let me drag this out and get what's called seller fatigue. And then suddenly this deal is, okay, I'll just get it done. I don't care. So we have a whole different approach where we work with our clients and these are clients that are going through, this is their baby. This is what they've grown from the beginning. So we have had a lot of experience, and it's hard to compliment our business, but I will tell you that I've heard from clientele and from private equity that, our firm is considered now one of the top in the country. Our deal flow is definitely the top in the country. We represent close to 30 clients today, and we're getting new clients all the time. But we're vetting them, Bill, and we're success fee based only. So we're aligning our goals with our clients' goals. If we don't think that we can sell you, and we know the market, I know all the buyers out there. If I look at your business and we can't sell it, I'm going to let you know it isn't a good time, or maybe sign up with us, but let's get it in the market in a year or two after we direct you to someone like yourself, Bill, to help them grow the business the right way and make it sellable. So when we align our goals where we do not take any retainer, we take no money, but we probably say no more than we say yes to taking clients on, because it not only has to have the right business where it's going up and to the right, of course, the trajectory of the business, but you have to have the right mindset. You can't be kicking tires as an owner. You have to know this is the right time. I was speaking to a group of 1,000 people in San Diego. We do a lot of engagements where we speak to different groups across the country. Financial advisors, CPAs, coaches like yourself, Bill, where they have clients that might want to sell. And it's funny because I looked at the room and I didn't know we were streaming live. And I said, most of your clients are going to say, I want to sell now because I'm burnt out. I'm so tired from doing what I'm doing. I'm just burnt. And my numbers are flat. Maybe they're not growing. I'm just burnt. It's ready for me. And I laugh and say, so turn to your client as we would and say, why the hell would somebody want to buy you now? That's not an appealing thing. I'm burnt out. The business is flat. Let me sell it and get the most money. Who would want to buy that? And my house is run down. It's got infestations everywhere. Come and buy my house for premium dollar. Like, it just doesn't make sense. But the owner doesn't see that sometimes. So there is this, I will call it a Goldilocks moment where, not too hot, not too cold, not too early, not too late, where you're in this great trajectory and you have to have this perfect time where you say, I'm growing. I have tremendous growth on the front end. I have a great history. Most owners are like, I'm going to keep doing this, but then you're going to miss that window because you have to sell when you're in this growth phase, a nice little history there, but you also have upside on the front side because buyers aren't just buying what you've done in the past. They're buying the past for a little bit of certainty, and they're buying the future. And I will say one more thing, Bill. I'm sorry to go off on a tangent, but I will tell you the most important fact for your business, other than good numbers, and we do presentations on this all the time, what matters. Buyers like predictability. They like I'm getting on a plane on Monday to go down to see a client, right? It's pretty predictable that when I get on that Delta flight, the plane is going to take off. It's going to land safely. I'm paying for Delta because of the predictability of the service I'm going to get. Just in a quick example, when I'm a buyer spending millions of dollars, tens of millions, sometimes $100 million, I want to know I'm buying predictability. So I turn to your listeners, Bill, and I ask, I want you to think the last time you changed your pest control company. Just take a moment. I'm going to let that resonate. When is the last time you changed your life? I'm just not happy with them. Let me go call around to 30 other places. It doesn't happen that often. Okay. It doesn't happen. It might on a weird occasion, if a pest control, I was in that room of 1,000, Bill, and I asked that question and 999 people kept their hand down. One guy in the back did raise his hand that he changed his pest control. I sent the microphone right over to him. In the middle of the presentation, I said, tell us why. I'm dying to know. He did say they had sold their pest control. The service wasn't there. He had to change it, whatever it may be. It was a good example. That's less than 1%, right, of people changing it. That's a really good business to buy. I have repeatability, blue collar, HVAC, plumbing, mission critical, repeatability, predictability, very appealing to buy. So sorry, Bill, I don't know what I answered or didn't answer, but I ran through this information and I see Quan on the screen, which is awesome as we're doing this audio. And I'm getting a lot of love from Quan. So I'm hoping your listeners that I can't see are hopefully giving me the same head nods and a lot of love.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they are, Lee. I do want to take you back, though. The comment you made, I didn't know what I didn't know, really resonated. And now it seems apparent to me that you know what you don't know and you know what you know. So looking back, is there anything you wish you had done differently during the exit of your business? Because now, whereas then maybe you didn't know.
Great question. So I will share this, our knowledge, our vantage point. I know where all the landmines are in deal flow now. I know where all the landmines are for buyers out there. You could have the best business, but if you don't have a qualified buyer, it's just a waste of time, right? So for listeners out there, listen tightly. I am always putting myself in a sense of struggle. And if I think I know a lot right now, I'm in a lot of trouble. So I didn't know what I didn't know back then. I know a hell of a lot more, but I am constantly, Bill, on a journey and a search, whether I'm dealing with different private equity, different clients of mine, to find more information that I thought I knew or I didn't know. And I'm always trying to find that. Now, that's not a humble way to say anything. Just if I'm not in some level of discomfort or pain or suffering, whether it be mentally, I'm a big exercise person, as you're always in some form of like duress. But if you find yourself just getting too comfortable with thinking so much, you're on a path to destruction with respect. So, Bill, I know a hell of a lot more. And what I do know has allowed me to get deeper into the areas that I don't know. So there's no way that I could have gone to the level that I'm getting to and continuing to search for those gray areas that I'm not that familiar with if I didn't have the foundation I had. So I would say for listeners, and again, it's the old adage, keep putting yourself in a challenging spot. I never drink my own Kool-Aid. I'm always learning, and I'm always having that open vantage point of wanting to learn more and show me something I don't know. Bill, I do have a degree from college. As I said, I got my master's in physical therapy, but I'm not a highly educated person. I'm not this well-spoken art. Like when I'm dealing with private equity across the country, Bill, it is so humbling to be with these men and women that are in their 20s, and they're running PE firms of multi-billion-dollar firms, Bill, right? The small firms are 1 to 3 billion, medium are 4 to 7, and larger firms are $8+ billion. And I'm dealing with people under 30, sometimes under 35, maybe if they're old. They're the MBAs, they're the brainiacs, and I'm always enjoying the meetings because they're lacking so much EQ, maybe, I would say. I have a large EQ, I have a lot of experience, but they have so much good. So you can't be everything to everybody. So know your swim lane, know what you're really good at. Surround yourself with those wonderful brainiacs within your organization or people you work with. So, Bill, sorry to dance around your answer, but I will tell you, if I didn't make all of those mistakes, the same adage, you've heard this before, but I do feel that way. Of course, if I could look back, I would change 30 things and I would get a 10x on different areas I've done just for that experience of having that. But the reality is if I didn't have those experiences, I wouldn't be sitting where I am. So the moment that I think and second guess decisions that I've got to now, oh, I wish I did this, I wish I did that. If I didn't have those failures or hiccups or landmines that I hit, I wouldn't have my vantage point today. So I just work as hard as I can to live in the present moment to enjoy it and then celebrate those errors and mistakes versus sitting and stewing in them. I work really hard, Bill, to have a short memory. It doesn't take, if you ask my 3 daughters and wife, they'd say, you don't have to work hard for that. You're an idiot. You have the shortest memory in the world. Of course. What are you talking about? But I do work very hard to have a very short memory on bad stuff. I want to remember it and look at what I learned. Okay, I'm not going to go stew in that misery. Why would I do that? Let me celebrate the moment today. And then I carry that through with our clientele. And I think that this attitude we have about 10 staff members. We do have 10 staff members at ESL. And it's you instituting that across the company. It's you instituting that with your clients. And even to be frank with you, why we are considered one of the top M&A consultants in the country from a PE perspective, from a private equity, from a buyer perspective. Bill, our claim to fame is we sold a deal not long ago. We had 50 buyers, 50 private equity and family office buyers that were interested. We're batting 1,000 with getting multiple offers. But when I can tell 49 buyers who have invested energy, effort, and time, and I can tell 49 buyers, we didn't choose you, not me, the client, our team, you were not chosen. And I can keep a good relationship with them afterwards.
Yeah.
And they can call back. There is tremendous power in that. And we're very fortunate. That's the claim to fame. Forget, oh, yeah, you get deals done. Anybody can be happy when you do a deal with them. But what about the 49 other buyers that you guys didn't choose? And how fast do I let them know we're not choosing them? How fast am I respectful of their time, energy, and effort? And when they take note of that and go, hey, thank you for getting me a no as fast as you did. People don't like that. I love the no because the no is just as powerful as the yes.
Yeah.
And you got to say it a lot more.
You're taking me back to my banking days a little bit, having to decline loans. I wasn't necessarily dealing with 50 all at one time, but I was dealing with a partner or just an individual business owner. And there's a knack for turning somebody's loan down and getting them to not like it or like you, but at least you've handled the process and explained why. You've been clear in how you've said it. And I don't have the experience of doing that you do, but it did take me back, because you do have to learn how to say no, but say it with grace and style.
Well, first
And I
off, Bill,
also
you're the
love,
nicest guy. I got to interrupt. Look, I could get a no from you every day, okay? And I would be happy because you're just so darn pleasant, right? The nugget that I wanted to share, and I'm not in relation, the great example you provided is I have to work with these buyers again. If you're turning someone down to say no for something, it's always good to have that reputation. That matters tremendously. But I want to work with these buyers again. So I have a motivation to tell sooner than later. So you're willing to work with me for the next deal and still be in my pool of qualified and trusted buyers. But Bill, there are some people that just have a tough time doing it, and you just want to work on it and you want to think about it from their perspective. You, on the other hand, Bill, you're just the nicest person. For the decade plus, 2 decades that I've known you, I would take a no from you every day and still be happy. I'd be unhappy about the end result, but I would be happy with you delivering it. You're so kind.
yeah, you're kind to say that. We are talking today with Lee Heisman, who's CEO of Exit Stage Left Advisors. Lee's a dynamic serial entrepreneur known for his innovative approach to business and leadership. Lee, I want to take you to after you exited and started Stage Left. Did your personal and professional goals change after exiting your business?
It's funny you say that. I want to reference something Kwan said before. And it resonated when she talked about, she didn't use the word pipeline, but I think she used it was pipeline or deal flow, or there was something she mentioned where she said, I might not have focused, she said, on the next few, filling the pipeline. I'm running the business. She was very successful with people calling in to her, and she was getting a lot of results and dealing with that and working the work, but maybe not thinking I got to fill the pipeline and I have to start working. So Bill, the exit structure, these things are not done very quickly. These are quite the opposite. Once we land an opportunity in a client and they want to work with us, it is a minimum of a 6-month runway from the time that they engage with us, because we have to do internal work. If they're put together, they have great financials, books, they're watertight, it's going to be a lot faster, closer to the 6-month. If they're not, it's going to be up to 12 months. And I will tell you, Bill, the majority of entrepreneurs, they're not. And when I say they're not, what I mean is they're good enough that most, and again, I'm dealing with entrepreneurs that have an EBITDA, which is your profit, right? EBITDA, earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, accumulation. Understand we like clients that are between $2 and $20 million of EBITDA and profits, because the buyers, it's a better buyer pool. Anything under $1 million, Bill, of EBITDA, there's nothing wrong with it, but you're going to be best served at a more local level firm. Could be like a boutique. I have a wedding boutique shop, or I have a local store. That's going to be better served with a community individual that might buy you. It's not someone from California who's going to move over to New Jersey to buy a bridal shop, usually. Not dismissing those businesses. But I will tell you, clients of ours that are between $2 to $20 million of profit, really, they're entrepreneurs and they're growing their businesses, which means they know their top line, they know their bottom line, they have a set of books to some extent. It usually is not self-evaluative, whereas, hey, show me the breakdown of your revenue. Show me what's repeatable. Most entrepreneurs are not spending half their time doing an internal analysis of their business. They're spending 100% of their time growing the business, putting fires out, getting new clients, bringing in revenue. And when the dust settles, they go to their CPA and say, how much do I owe in taxes? Give me the rest of it. Pay my taxes, give me the rest of the profits, and keep growing it. I was there for 30 years. So that's the nice part about us in this role, Bill. There's other people that are investment bankers or brokers like us that have never done it, never owned a business. I've owned multiple, my partners owned multiple. So we take that vantage point. So if you're an entrepreneur out there thinking of a sale and you don't have this most refined financial self-evaluation, welcome to the club of everyone. And no matter how big or how small your business are, welcome to the club of everyone. And Bill, that's why your firm, for example, the growth firm, you actually work on that. I'm not promoting you back to you, Bill, but that's getting a professional like that where you can grow your business and not think of that. So, Bill, to maybe answer your question that I've seen the growth of is most entrepreneurs are not thinking that way. They're just thinking of growth. And when it comes time to sell, you do have to think of that internal. So our length of time of a transaction can be really fast if you are really organized. But to be frank, I would say less than 15% of our clients are that organized. I would say 85%. And these are very successful businesses, very successful, selling for 8 and 9 figures. That's the tens of millions to 100 million. They're good, but we're going to get to a due diligence phase of the transaction where these firms that are paying lots of money will be doing the full, it's like the medical workup. I wasn't going to use the colonoscopy example, but it's the full medical workup where, but they're going to, I did use it.
Yeah, they are.
I said I wasn't. My point is, they're going to do the X-ray, the MRI, the blood work. If you went into the ER, they're not going to spend 10 million plus or whatever number if they're not doing every detail. So we will eventually have to get there, Bill. We hold up going to the market till we can get the majority in that direction so that we're not wasting our clients' time and the buyer's time. The efficiency is what matters. So going to the pipeline, I'll get eventually back to my beginning part. The first year of this business was starvation. You're getting clients and you've got a 12-month runway. And I will tell you, since we have close to, as I mentioned, 30 current clients, I think we're at 8 LOIs right now. We're in due diligence. We're closing deals. Having that pipeline, like Quan said, is so important. And as much as we're working current deals and our team is working current deals, we are equally landing new opportunities. We just landed 3 new clients literally in a week, which is very odd. It doesn't happen often, but that pipeline is the most important thing. So if you have your foot on the gas and you're getting some results, I can only yell at every business owner out there, just like Quan said, she noticed it, she recognized it, she rectified it. You need to continue to put your foot on the pedal for the pipeline because you never know what's coming the next day. So that was a long way to get to that answer, but I hope it was clear.
It was a good answer. We're talking today with Lee Heisman, CEO of Exit Stage Left Advisors. They're a premier exit consulting firm dedicated to assisting small and medium-sized business owners in selling their companies. The team, composed of seasoned entrepreneurs who've successfully exited multiple ventures, understands the challenges and complexities involved in the sale process. Lee, I love to play Let's Pretend. Can we play Let's Pretend?
Wait, is my wife in the room? Did she just jump on the screen? Okay, all right, sorry. How did you know, Bill? How did you know?
Let's pretend I'm an entrepreneur. I just got called by the 800-pound gorilla in my marketplace. CEO to CEO, he calls me, says, I want to buy your company. What happens next?
Great question. Okay, so am I involved or just telling you the process on the third party?
You're involved.
Okay, so first and foremost, Bill, the way that we've become successful, and this is important for clients, I've actually been brought into deals like this. First and foremost, you want to have representation. If you want to do the deal yourself, I've done the deal myself, and I know what I didn't know, and I left a lot of money and structure on the table. So I made a mistake. These things do not happen fast. And if they're trying to make it happen fast, it's because somebody has an edge and they know something you don't know. It's not bad intention. It's a win. If you're getting $15 million in your pocket, how do you call that a lose, right? To use that number, it's a lose if I could have got you 23 million if you just brought that. And that has happened. We are consistently, Bill, getting 38% above market. I have a number of clients. I won't share too many details, but I've had clients hand us a valuation of their business. In one example, it was a 14 million valuation on paper. Through our proprietary auction process and 60 buyers, we ended up getting them 22 million all cash. Now, their on paper was 14. We ended up getting 22. What's the reason, Bill, right? What's the reason? I want you to think about this. I'm your neighbor, Bill, at your house. I knock on the door to the McDermott's house, say, you guys are great. I know you want to go to Florida. The weather's getting cold up here in Atlanta. Listen, I know your house is in the marketplace. We looked around. I'm going to hand you $1 million cash on their house. And Bill, that might be worth my house. I think that's a fair, less headaches. Lee next door can buy it. Bill, if I was your agent, a different person was your agent, I repainted your house, staged it, maybe invested $10,000 into it. And Bill, we're not going to use Atlanta. Let's just use Florida or Texas where there's no state income tax, for example. Just using that example. And I suddenly stage it. I do beautiful photography, videography. I do this full presentation, and then I put it out to the rest of the country. I put it out to California, who has the taxes in California. You understand the dynamic. There was a mass exodus from California to Florida to Nashville to Texas recently with all of the changes in taxes. So, Bill, if I put it out there at 1.5 million or whatever the number may be, and I have 30 people bidding over it, do you think we're going to get more than $1 million than what your neighbor offered you? It's a little more work, and you're going to pay a fee that is nominal compared to what you're going to net. But when you have people competing against you, the ultimate point I'm getting here is if you can package it correctly and get people competing against you, you are rest assured that you are getting the largest enterprise value. Because, Bill, I have people come to me and say, Lee, I want to sell my business. I think it's worth $10 million. I will look at it. I will make some calls to founders of private equity to ask for multiples to see what their EBITDA is. I'll give them a preliminary update that if we think we can get there, we will get there. I'm never going to lie because I'm not getting paid to lie to you. I'm getting paid if we conduct a transaction. But, Bill, I've had situations where people said, I want 10 million. And there's nothing wrong with that. Just use that example. And I've got 4 offers, 7, 8.2, 7.8, and maybe 8.5. And when I get 4 offers from the marketplace across the entire country with the top buyers, doesn't matter that you want 10, that's what the market's telling us.
Right.
And they don't have to sell. They could say, I want to turn that away. There's a lot of timing and a lot of pieces and nuance to it, but the market with multiple offers is what is telling you the value of your business. And I will tell you, if 4 offers came in between $7 and $8 million, and I got one for 12, you should really question the 12. You should not be taking the 12. It's probably something wrong with it. We'll have to get into the details. We wouldn't turn it away initially, but most likely it's not going to be something that comes there. So, Bill, you get approached by the big guy in the room. It's going to be a great transaction, but it's worth using the professional, like your firm, Bill, like a CPA. Go do your own taxes. Go do your own legal. There's nothing wrong with it. Good luck. But I will tell you, you will be leaving money on the table. Let me jump back. There's 2 pieces to a deal for all viewers out there or listeners out there. And that's right. We're only audio today. Oh, goodness. Bill, I can't stand listening to myself. So I appreciate everybody listening to me. And, it's a little better. And I'm a little better in person, but hopefully you can tolerate my voice, Bill. I'm bad about that. But there's 2 components to a deal. There's the enterprise value, $10 million. But then the other 50%, Bill, is the structure. What's important to you? Hey, Bill McDermott wants to leave in 6 months. He needs to be out of here. He's been through all of his career. Kwan's too young to want to leave her business, right? So when Kwan sells, Kwan looks really young and ready not to leave her business. That'll work against you as well, because if you are too young, they don't want you to leave. So there's things about rolling equity, second bite of the apple. You can roll it to the larger aggregator. People always ask, if someone's paying me an 8x on my business, how do they afford to do that? Because they've created what's called a thesis. These private equity firms will spend anywhere from $500,000 to $1 million. They will build what is called a thesis. They will say, I want roofing companies, and I want roofing companies with under 20% new construction, under 20% commercial, under 20% residential. And when they do that, they've already allocated, this is how we're going to aggregate this and sell this for 16x. So when they're paying you a 6 or an 8, please do not think these aren't the smartest people in the room. They've already run the numbers to sell this again for 16. So as a seller, you could say, I'm going to take 80% cash. I'm going to roll 20%. I'm going to maybe be here to help it grow. And more importantly, when they flip it for 16, I'm going to make more money on the second bite than I did on the first bite. So I speak of a deal, Bill, that be so complex. You can't think of this on your own. This is what we do. 50% is enterprise value. The other 50 is structure. And structure is just a long list of the important things to you, Bill, as the seller, or to Kwan as the seller. And then we see what comes in as our offers. So all of that to answer, if anybody comes to you and you have an interest in selling, I would use a professional, but you just have to choose the right one. Again, I'm not saying we're the right one for everybody. I'm simply saying you have to choose someone that you trust and that sees it from that vantage point.
Lee, I can't thank you enough for sharing your expertise. The baby boomers are retiring in droves. Many of them are business owners. There's a lot of money that's going to be changing hands out there. But let's face it, a lot of business owners have done little to no planning. So for my listeners, Lee knows his stuff. Lee, I'd love for you to share contact information, website, phone number, email, whatever you're comfortable. But if there is a business owner out there who just had the scenario I described, how does he get in touch with you or she
No,
get in touch with you?
no, thank you. Our website is esladvisors.com. Exit stage left, ESL Advisors. My email is Lee, Lee, at esladvisors.com. I also jump on LinkedIn. I do a lot of stuff, Bill. We have that TV show called The Roadmap. It's on Hulu, on Apple TV. I've got to interview some of the coolest entrepreneurs from around the country. I just had on Bill Duke. I don't know if you know that name, Bill, but Bill Duke is a very popular actor. He was in Predator. He's in Sister Act. You didn't know, Bill, I love interviewing people because Bill is such a successful, great man that just moved to Atlanta. And I didn't even realize there was a TV show. Remember the shows back in the day, Starsky and Hutch, Charlie's Angels, not the remakes. He actually was in those. He's directed Knots Landing, Hill Street Blues. Like, you get to see an actor and these successful people and the humility they bring, Bill. That's the stuff I always push. Not me, but if you want to be stuck with me and our firm, Lee at ESL Advisors, LinkedIn, esladvisors.com, anytime. And if you listen to this show, please say that the show is the reason that drove you here. I'd love to know that. And I love to give credit to people like Bill and the firms like Bill that drive any type of direction. And our job is to give advice, Bill. We're not here. You don't have to work with us. Because they're listening to this show, I'll give as much free advice as possible.
Yeah. Thank you again today for coming on the show.
Now, thank you, Bill.
I want to take a moment today to share some simple strategies to unlock hidden profit in your business. Where do you start? Remember, profit isn't just a result, it's a choice. Achieving financial success doesn't require an overhaul, just targeted strategies to make your business more resilient and profitable. First, streamline your operations. Look for inefficiencies in your processes, like outdated scheduling or equipment downtime, and fix them to save time and money. Second, identify overlooked expenses. Could you negotiate better rates for raw materials or supplies? Good enough prices aren't set in stone. Third, realign your pricing strategy. Are you charging what you're worth? Make sure your prices reflect the true value you bring to your customers. Finally, empower your team. Invite employees to suggest cost-saving or efficiency ideas and reward those that work. Engaged employees can transform your business's profitability. Every business has hidden profit potential waiting to be discovered. With the right guidance and strategic adjustments, you can unlock that potential and achieve lasting success. If you're ready to take your business to the next level, let's talk. Thank you for tuning in to ProfitSense, where bold ideas meet practical strategies to help you win in business. If you're ready to stay ahead of the game, follow Profitability Coach on LinkedIn and Instagram for more insights and updates. You can catch all the past and future episodes at ProfitSenseRadio.com. This is Bill McDermott signing off. Go out there, take action, and make it a great day, because your success starts with the choices you make today.